3. Hello, everybody. This is Wolfbitn. How you doing tonight? And we've got another little impromptu debate. So I want to welcome everybody to the arena. Good to see you. And we have with us tonight, I'm not calling him a random atheist. He goes by the name of Random Atheist, and I'm going to let him introduce himself any way that he likes. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Not much to tell, just skeptic, questioner of everything, basically. I mean, you ask it, I'll tell you. It doesn't.
Okay, do you consider yourself atheist or agnostic?
Atheist.
Atheist, okay. And what would you say is the evidence against God?
Not that there's evidence against God, but there's hardly evidence for him or any of them.
Well, I think you'd be describing more the agnostic position. The atheist position is opposite of the theist position.
It's about evidence, not you asked about evidence, not what I believe.
Right, right.
Gnosticism is about what you know.
I'm just saying an atheist makes the claim that there is no God, and so they usually have something to stand on to.
Atheism is about what you believe. It's I don't believe there's a God.
Well, no, you're misusing the term there. Kind of like, have you ever seen somebody like? Have you ever accused a creationist of using the term theory incorrectly? Hello?
Yeah, hold on. My wife was yelling for me. 1 second.
Okay. Wow, he's taking care of that. We'll give him a minute here. Yeah, you see, atheism.
Back.
Okay, go ahead. You were saying now? Okay. Looks like he's got some more problems going on. So, the point is, atheism is a claim. Atheism is a claim that there is no God, just like theism is a claim. Christianity is a claim that there is a God. Okay? We claim there is a God. The opposite of that is the atheist, which says there is no God. And then the agnostic gives any indirect answer in between there, like, I don't know, I don't care, I don't think it's knowable, whatever the case may be. They give the indirect answers. The atheist and the theist give the direct answers of either yes or no to the question, does God exist? Now, I believe there's a reason that this goes on. I believe that
all right, I'm back.
Okay. But my personal feeling is that the atheist, or the self-proclaimed atheist, wants to assume and say to the world there is no God, and yet they then want to say, well, I just lack belief, so I don't have to back my claim. But that's not what an atheist is at all. The atheist is exactly opposite of the theist. The theist says there is a God to the question, is there a God? Yes. The atheist makes the other direct answer of no.
Well, it's not a positive claim just saying, no, I don't believe there's a God.
No, they say, no, there is no God. That's the claim. So,
yeah, some will.
So if you're claiming that there is no God, then you should be able to back your statement with evidence.
Well, I say I don't believe in any God, not that there is no God. You're free to believe in whatever you want. Hold on, I mean,
the agnostic also says that they lack belief. Now you have to, as an atheist, separate yourself from an agnostic. Okay, if you want to be atheist.
Well,
now
I think
Go ahead.
I think you're misusing terms. Agnosticism is about not knowing that there's a God. All right, okay. I don't know there's a God. That's agnosticism. I don't believe in a God. I mean, can I finish my statement?
Yeah, go ahead.
You keep interrupting me like every.
Well, you're just wrong. I could save you all the time, but go ahead.
No, I'm not actually.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, agnosticism is I don't know if there's a God. Atheism is I don't believe there's a God. There's a difference.
Well, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. If you were at Stanford University at their philosophy school, one of the most esteemed philosophy schools in the world, okay, and your professor and all the doctors, all of the scholars there, they're going to be writing peer-reviewed work. They're going to be teaching their classes. And you as a philosophy student are going to be writing philosophical papers. Now, in writing these philosophical papers and writing these peer-reviewed papers, okay, you have to have your terminology defined for you. So what would you use to define terms if you were at Stanford University or one of the most esteemed philosophy schools in the world?
Generally, we use the way a word is used most often.
Well, no, in this case, and I'll screen share this so everybody can
Yeah, I saw your Stanford presentation with the last guy you debated, and it's just wrong. Words have usages, not specifically meanings.
What are your qualifications to trump the scholars and doctors at Stanford University?
It doesn't matter what my qualifications would be for it.
Okay, that's cool. So now we're going to read what it actually says. You see, you can't, when we're talking about atheism here, I'm going to scroll down just a bit so everybody can see this. Atheism has to be typically in a philosophical discussion defined in terms of theism. Theism is, in turn, best understood as the proposition, something that is either true or false. It is often defined as the belief that God exists, but here belief means something believed. It refers to the propositional content of the belief, not to the attitude or psychological state of believing. This is why it makes sense to say that theism is true or false and to argue for or against theism. If, however, atheism is defined in terms of theism, and theism is the proposition that God exists and not the psychological condition of believing that there is a God, then it follows that atheism is not the absence of the psychological condition of believing that God exists. It goes on to say, therefore, in philosophy at least, atheism should be construed as the proposition that God does not exist. Or more broadly, the proposition that there are no gods. This definition has the added virtue of making atheism a direct answer to one of the most important metaphysical questions in philosophy of religion, namely, is there a God? There are only two possible direct answers to this question. Yes, which is theism, and no, which is atheism. There you go. So,
or I don't know is always an acceptable answer.
Yeah, that's agnostic, dude. So,
yeah, which is exactly what I just said.
No, that's not.
And you construed it as being.
That's okay. Yeah. Everybody heard what went on there, so that's cool. Now here we go.
All right, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen right now?
You believe in abiogenesis, is that correct?
Well, believe or accept?
Do you believe that abiogenesis occurred at some point in Earth's history?
That life began on our planet?
That abiogenesis occurred.
How are you defining abiogenesis?
You don't know what abiogenesis means?
I'm asking you to define it.
You don't know what the term means?
I'm asking you to define it.
You don't understand what abiogenesis is.
That's not what I said. I'm asking you to define it.
That's exactly what you said.
No, that is not what I said. Okay. I'm asking you to define it.
Do you believe where science says that sometime in Earth's past, all of these elements just randomly somehow combined together with no direction, no influence, and something occurred, some vehicle, some mechanism occurred to spark life into it, and all of a sudden it popped to life and began to multiply?
Is that what the hypothesis of abiogenesis says?
Geez, dude, do you know anything here? Are you going to assume?
I'm asking you.
I'm going to ask you something. Are you going to assume the position of I'm ignorant all the way through this conversation?
I didn't say anything. I asked you to clarify what you were saying.
I mean, you're the one that, wanted to debate me, so debate me.
I'm asking you to clarify what you're saying.
If you don't know what abiogenesis is, just say so, and we can Google it for you.
If you can't define it, that's
a problem. Of course we can define it. Now, do you know what it is, yes or no?
I'm asking you to define it.
Do you know what it is?
First you asked if I believed it. All right, and then I asked you to define it.
If you want to play little games, you don't have a case here. First of all, abiogenesis is a completely falsified theory. Absolutely.
No, hold on. You're skipping over a lot of it here. You're skipping over everything. All right.
Absolutely every single time they've tried to create life from non-life, they have absolutely failed.
Who failed? What do you mean?
Science, any science.
What?
Okay.
All right. When you say that, what can you specifically point to?
We know you're ignorant of it. That's fine. You can look it all up.
I know that you're not actually supporting your claim with anything. That's what you're doing here.
Okay. So you don't know a thing about it. So how do you know?
I didn't say anything about it. I'm asking you to clarify your point.
You're assuming the ignorant position.
No, I'm not.
You shall remain, sir. Now let's move on to transitional fossils.
Oh, excuse me. We're still on abiogenesis. Now, you're just skipping over things.
Oh, you don't know what it means.
I know what it means. I'm asking if you know what it means.
Of course. And we already went through that. So if you don't want to accept
Where did you get your definition for abiogenesis?
I gave you a short explanation of what abiogenesis is.
Where?
Now, prove.
Where did you get that description?
In that point, show me any point in that you disagree with.
Okay, define it again.
Show me any point in what I said that you disagree with. I'm not going to go through it all again. If you didn't listen to the first time, that's your problem.
Okay, you can't define it again.
I'm not going to define it again. If you couldn't have listened the first time to understand
I listened the first time, and you didn't actually...
you evidently don't understand what we're talking about. You evidently didn't listen, because you can't point out one thing that you disagree with.
You asked if I...
Since you don't have a point to disagree on, we're going to move on to transition.
All right, if you're just going to cut me off, that's bullshit. All right, stop that shit.
You don't have a point to dislagree on, dude. We're going to move to the lineage of mankind. Now, do you believe that
abiogenesis is one hypothesis as far as how life began on this planet? Yes, that's accurate.
Do you believe that mankind evolved? Okay, so why do you believe in a falsified theory?
How is it a falsified theory?
Well, show me one successful test of creating life from nothing, from non-life.
Show you one successful test from creating life from non-life.
Right. Something that never previously lived. Poof, it pops to life.
That sounds like magic, doesn't it?
Well, that's what you're claiming, magic.
Actually, I didn't claim that. I didn't say whether or not I believed it or not.
Little pixie chemicals spilled over onto some little fairy dust, and poof, it popped to life and started replicating.
That's
horny little devils. Now, let's move on to transitionals. Let's talk about the human lineage for a moment. Do you believe that we evolved from Lucy?
Lucy is an Australopithecus afarensis.
That's right. Do you believe we evolved from her?
She's one of the many species that we found that existed before Homo sapiens. It's very possible that Homo sapiens did evolve from Australopithecus afarensis.
Is that what you believe?
Yes, I said it's possible.
Okay. Do you also believe that we evolved from Homo erectus?
It's possible.
And how would you rate your belief from 1 to 100?
How would I rate my belief from 1 to 100? My belief that it's possible?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's possible. 100 that it's possible.
Oh, geez, dude. Do you speak English? You understand this conversation? Are you able to hold a conversation?
Yeah. Do you speak English?
You're being absolutely ridiculous.
When did I say
in the position of I'm stupid all the way through this? Why do you want to do that?
When did I say that?
Why do you want to choose the position?
Australopithecus afarensis. When did I say that?
Now,
if you're going to continue to put words in my mouth, everyone can hear you do that. That's fine.
Do you believe we are evolved through them? Yes or no?
That we're evolved through them. The evidence so far points that we are related to them.
What evidence?
Fossil evidence, DNA evidence.
Okay, show me the DNA, dude. You don't have the DNA.
Really?
You don't have any single way to test that whatsoever. Yeah, you better get to Googling. You don't have a single, they have never
extracted. Yeah, that's why I'm still screen sharing, so you can see this.
They have never extracted DNA from an afarensis, from an Australopithecine. They have never extracted the DNA from a Homo erectus. Never. Not one time. You don't have a thing to show. You don't have a single test. If you don't have a test, that means this is untestable because you don't have the DNA. If it's untestable, you don't even have a theory.
So how do you believe life came about on Earth?
God created.
Huh. So you believe in creation?
Absolutely.
So, okay. How would you test that?
Well, you test it all different kinds of ways. We have all of our sciences are verifying this.
How?
And we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
No, come on.
You believe in transitional fossils now.
Transitional fossils exist, yes.
They do. Okay. Name one important transitional fossil.
One important transitional fossil. Lucy. That was easy.
Lucy. Okay. Well, there again, any transitional fossil you point to, you cannot test your hypothesis of their lineage because you don't have their DNA. There is no such thing as a transitional fossil.
It's a fossil.
There is no such thing as a transitional fossil. That is an illusion.
They're all transitional.
Well, you can't prove it. You can say it all day long, but you can't prove it.
Well, okay, let's see you prove creation then.
Well,
you can say it all day long, but you can't prove it.
Your words. Prove creation. That's your deflection. That doesn't help your argument. How does that help your argument? Okay, we're talking about your argument now. Prove that there is such thing as a transitional fossil.
Life on Earth is always in transition. You know that, right?
You can't prove that. You are deluded, dude. You drank the Kool-Aid. Okay, you are completely brainwashed into thinking you have all this evidence. And I've just shown you don't have evidence for anything you're claiming. You don't have any. It's not even a theory because you can't even test it. Now, I'm going to read something to you. This was given by somebody much smarter than you and in much better position.
Oh, that's great.
To judge this than you. His name is Dr. Colin Patterson.
Who?
Dr. Colin Patterson.
Why should I? Okay,
what's he doctor Colin of? Patterson was a senior paleontologist at the British Museum of Natural History. And he believed in evolution. He was not a creationist. He's an evolutionist completely. He wrote books on evolution. He toured lecturing on evolution. And he tells us, quote, fossils may tell us many things, but one thing they can never disclose is whether they were ancestors of anything else. It was easy enough to make up stories, fairy tales, in other words, of how one form gave rise to another, and to find reasons why the stages should be favored by natural selection. But such stories are not part of science, for there is no way to put them to the test. Quote, unquote. So you can't even test this stuff. You don't even have a theory there.
Hey, do you see my screen right now?
What's that?
Do you see my screen?
It says A. Now, what?
Okay, hold on. I'm screen sharing. Hold on.
What do you got?
Quote from Dr. Colin Patterson. In several animal and plant groups, enough fossils are known to bridge the wide gaps between existing types. In mammals, for example, the gap between horses, asses, and zebras, and their closest living relatives, the rhinoceros and tapirs. Excuse me, can I finish speaking?
What does this have to do? If you can get to the point where this has to do.
It's filled by an extensive series of fossils extending back 60 million years to a small animal, which I can't pronounce, which can only be distinguished from the rhinoceros tapir group by one or two horse-like details of the skull.
Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. What he's doing is telling a little story about how
evidence of evolution
one
right
thing
there,
may
that
be
there are
it's a
indeed
little
transitional
story,
fossils.
but there's no way to put it to the test. Now, what I want you to do,
his own statement there,
hold on,
disproved what you just said.
Listen to me.
In fact, I can't even find the statement you just made.
Listen to me. What I want you to do now is find me a test that proves they are related by DNA, the DNA test that proves they're related and in that lineage. Do so. I'm waiting. From that tiny little rodent. I want to see where they're related.
From what tiny little rodent? Who said little rodent?
The one that you just read about. Aren't you following your own reading?
The tapir is not a tiny little rodent. Neither is a horse.
Dude.
So maybe, I don't know.
Go ahead.
Look what you're...
Give us the DNA test.
I'm going to do that.
That proves the common ancestor.
That proves a common ancestor?
Yes.
We have the transitional fossils.
Dude, you don't have the DNA.
Dude, we don't need the DNA when we have the transitional fossils.
You're calling them transitional. That is your hypothesis, dude. Now you've got to test your hypothesis, and the only way you can do that is the DNA lineage tests. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to test your theory, your hypothesis. Show me the common ancestor and show me the DNA test that proves it was actually an ancestor. You don't have a single one you can put on the table.
Similar test to having someone go on the Maury Povich show and prove that they're the father, which I heard you discuss on the last hangout. Don't give me that bullshit that you don't accept it now. All right, that's fucked up.
Dude, you'll watch your language right now. This is a family show. Children watch this too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that is wonderful. You'll respect this show. Just because you can't pull up a single test to back what you're saying doesn't mean that you have to get angry and abuse the audience.
I'm not abusing the audience.
So, find that test that proves any limit.
I mean, like a DNA test where we can show that, yes, they have a common ancestor somewhere or descend from a common line.
What you're going to have to do is find the DNA of that common ancestor to prove it was a common ancestor. And you can't do such things.
Do you ever watch Maury? Do you ever watch that?
Dude, I don't waste my time on that crap. I read peer-reviewed stuff.
Do you understand DNA, how it works?
Yes, oh, you get your DNA information from Maury Povich?
No.
That's rich. I get mine from peer-reviewed literature.
Like what? Like what?
Dude, you're just going to have to get into it yourself.
Okay, so you can't say anything about where you get.
I'm here to whip you in debate.
That's wonderful.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not here to educate you. I'm here to school you in a debate.
So what evidence do you have that it's false?
I don't need evidence that it's false.
You don't need evidence that it's false? True. You don't need to take
everything you've got is either falsified or you can't even test it. It's not even a theory.
Dude, you're not even willing to put up an argument. Look at you.
That is my argument. You got
your
nothing.
Argument is I don't have to do anything.
No, my argument is you don't have a thing to put on the table.
You almost cussed. Watch your language, sir.
My argument is you don't have a thing to put on the table that's legitimate. All you got is wild speculation. You don't have a single lineage test you can put on here. You can't verify a single transitional species. You can't verify a single ancestor to man. You can't verify any successful test in abiogenesis. Dude, you've got nothing. So there you got your debate. You obviously can't pull up any successful tests for any of this.
Listen to Jerry Coyne for a minute.
I don't care about Jerry Coyne. I want you to produce the tests. If you can't produce tests, you've got nothing.
But we do show it in the DNA evidence that humans and chimps share a common ancestor.
It's time to grow up.
Hey, excuse me.
Accept the fact.
Do you hear the words coming out of my mouth?
You've got nothing. Okay, it's time to accept that fact. You can't put a single test on this table. There's your debate.
Single test on the table?
You lose. Okay, so everybody, I hope you enjoyed this little debate. It was cool.
Oh, I'm not done.
Oh, yes, you are, sir. You can't pull a single test up.
You not accepting my evidence does not mean it's wrong.
Let me know next time
and you not
got
understanding it.
No, I'm not accepting your hypothesis that is untestable. I'm accepting it for what it is. It's untestable. That's what I'm accepting. So I'm going to say good. I'm going to pop in for a minute and tell everybody hello. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for joining in. I know a lot of you are doing stuff this weekend and aren't able to be here. You'll catch this later. I just want to say hi, and I appreciate you guys, every single one of you. Okay, Lenice, I want to thank you for joining in. Thank you so very much. Everybody else that's joined in, God bless you guys. We appreciate you. Listen, we have open challenges. Anybody that ever wants to debate, you just come right on. Let me know. I'll set one up, just like I set one up for Random Atheist here. He saw one of my previous debates and thought he could do better, but you see he has no test at all to back anything that he's saying. Nothing. It's not even a testable hypothesis. So thank you very much for joining, folks. Pass this stuff around. Give it a like. Share it with your friends. Let them see that we have something to be proud of, and evolution is a joke. It's a complete illusion. It's a lie that's been perpetrated on the world. And we don't have to sit here and take this crap. We just don't, because the facts are with us. So God bless everybody. This is Wolfbitn, and we folks are out.